What happens with our little slide presentation? Of course, those of you who are listening to this can't see it, but I'm going to try to narrate it as we go. First of all, we'll let you know that this is the Islamic media presentation, and we're going to be talking today about Islam. Islam is the world's fastest growing religion. More people enter Islam every day than we can count. Why? Because of the truth and the proof. Watch these little letters fall down there. That's too cool. I'm sorry, but folks at home can't see this. They're missing something else. The questions come up that we need answers to. What is Islam? What's it got to do with terrorism? Who are the Muslims? Understanding Islam and the Muslims. Who are they? What do they believe? The answers are today, Islam. Of course, we're putting a commercial in there for our website, too. Islam is based on two things, two main principles: belief and action. We spoke about the beliefs a little earlier, and I'm going to refer back to them, God willing, and then we're going to talk about the actions. Let's consider first what are the beliefs in Islam. Now, the beliefs are going to be based on the teaching of the Holy Quran and the teachings of Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. And what he taught was that we believe in Allah, His angels, His books, the Bible, the Gospel, the Quran, the prophets, Adam, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and so on. The day of judgment, and the paradise and the hell, and divine decree means that God already knows what's going to happen. He already decreed everything that's going to happen. Predestination. And then the actions, or what we call the pillars of Islam, are the public testimony of faith to say, Ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. There is no God to worship except Allah. Muhammad is His last messenger. The daily ritualistic prayers that we call Salat. The morning prayer called Fajr, noon called Dhuhr, afternoon called Asr, sunset called Maghrib, night called Isha, and then the third point is fasting the month of Ramadan. No food, no drink, no intimate relations during the daylight hours. The fourth point is called Zakah, or charity, and this is 2.5%. It's paid only on your wealth, not your income. There's no income tax in an Islamic state. Do you hear what I just said? No income tax in an Islamic state. Yet it still has social welfare based on the tax they collect from the wealthy. Do the poor pay tax in an Islamic state? No, they do not. There is no taxation for the poor, masakin. They do not pay any tax. The only ones who are taxed are those who hold wealth over 1 year in excess of a large amount of money. Suddenly we start to see why certain rich people don't want to see Islam spread, don't we? Whoa! Think about it. And how come nobody ever mentioned that to you? Why did they tell you about Muslims can have 4 wives, but they forgot to mention that you have a lot more money to support them with? Hello? Well, let's move forward on that. And let's look at the pilgrimage. That's the fifth and last of the rukun, or the principles, pillars of Islam. Once in a lifetime, the person is expected to go to Mecca, if they have a way to get there, make the pilgrimage, and go to a certain place, and it's called Arafat, and pray and ask God's forgiveness and come back. And then God forgives all the sins, wipes everything away. There are other ways that we're forgiven in Islam as well, but I'm mentioning this one because it's one of the main pillars. Now let's look. What does the word Islam mean? It's an Arabic word, and the Arabic language is root-driven. It's not like English. It's a very powerful language, a very ancient language. It predates history. It's one of the Semitic languages, like Aramaic that Jesus spoke, or Hebrew. that Moses spoke. So let's learn about this word Islam, what it means. Where does it come from? Well, as I said, it's Arabic. It comes from a root word which means, or is, salama. Salama. It means to surrender, submit, obey, pure intention, and peace. All of those are in the word Islam. Sometimes Muslims make a mistake. You say, what's Islam? They say peace. Islam is not peace. In Arabic you say salam. That's peace. So if Islam also means peace, then we would say Islam alaikum. And we don't say that. We say salam alaikum. So we learn from this that peace is actually only what? 20%. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1/5, 20%. And you don't get that peace until you do the others. You have to surrender to Allah, Almighty God. You have to submit to Him on His terms, like we talked about. Religion has to be His way, not your way. You have to obey Him. And you have to do it out of pure intention. Even if nobody's looking, you would still do it. You'd still be good. You'd still worship Him. And you do it in peace. And then you achieve the peace of being in the right way with your Lord. And there's a verse in the Bible that says the same thing. When Jesus taught them how to pray, He said, say these words. And some of those words were what? Your will be done on earth like it is in heaven. How many of you heard that before? Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's what Islam means. That's what it means. God's will on earth. But who are the Muslims? Well, again, it's the Arabic language. You have to put mu in front of a word instead of after the word. In English, we have walk, walker, talk, talker, think, thinker, stink, stinker. Well, in Arabic, we have salli, prayer, musalli, one who prays, adhan, call to the prayer, mu'adhan, one who calls to the prayer, safar, travel. The word safari comes from this. Musafir, a traveler. And then Islam, Mu-Islam. Who? Mu-Islam. Who is a Mu-Islam? Who is a Muslim? Anybody is a Muslim if they surrender to God on God's terms, obey Him, submit to Him, do it with a clean intention, and they do it in peace. If they've complied with God's religion, they're a Muslim, even if they don't know Arabic language. Even if they never met an Arab, even if they never met a Muslim, even if they didn't see the Quran, people can die and go to heaven if they do what? If they only worship God alone without any partners. Isn't that the first rule? Yes. That's the main rule. In fact, just in case you made a whole lot of mistakes in your whole life, God gives you something very beautiful. He says in the Quran, He does not forgive anybody who makes partners with Him in worship. But anything less than this, He can forgive. So when we see people, we think they're so nice, they're so kind, they're so generous. They did this, they did that. They never did any sins, except they worship a rock. God already made it clear. All of their good deeds are wasted. Because He doesn't care about what we call good deeds. He wants to know, what do you believe, and do you worship me or something I created? So if you worship God on His terms, He can forgive everything else. Even our prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, told us, a prostitute, now all of you know, prostitute's bad in any religion. It's not a good thing. But a prostitute was forgiven, and you know how? She was very thirsty, and she crawled down in a well. In those days, they didn't have a tap like you turn on here, you know. She crawled down in a well, dark, deep well, and got water, and came out with the water, and drank it, and then she saw a dog. And the dog was dying. He needed water. She felt compassion for this poor animal. She crawled back down in the well, and brought water out for the dog, and saved its life. And God saw this compassion in this lady, and He forgave all of her sins. So God is compassionate, but we have to give some demonstration and be good ourselves, of course. But the worst sin of all is when people worship other than Allah. I mentioned that on here the commandment said, whoever obeys the commandments and teaches them, he will be the greatest in the kingdom. Have any of you ever heard this verse? It's in the book of Matthew, chapter 5. And the beginning of it states that Jesus says, don't think that I came to destroy the law, the commandments, and what the prophets taught. I did not come to destroy the law and the commandments and what the prophets taught.